What if I told you that starting from nothing might actually be your biggest advantage? No savings, no connections, no rich family backing you up. Most people hear that and think it is a disadvantage, a limitation, a reason why success is harder. But what if that is exactly what forces you to learn the truth about money faster than everyone else? Because here is something uncomfortable. People who start with money often never learn how money actually works. They rely on it. They spend it. They assume it will always be there. But people who start from zero, they are forced to think differently. They are forced to ask better questions. Questions like, how do I create income from scratch? How do I turn small amounts into something bigger? How do I escape the cycle of earning and spending? And those questions lead to something powerful. They lead to understanding. Now let me ask you something deeper. Have you ever noticed how some people stay broke no matter how much they earn? They get a raise. They upgrade their lifestyle. They earn more. They spend more. And somehow, they are still stuck. Meanwhile, there are others who start with almost nothing. And slowly, quietly, they build real wealth. No shortcuts. No luck. No viral success. Just a system. So what is the difference? It is not talent. It is not education. It is not even income. It is how they see money, because most people think money is something you spend. Wealth builders know money is something you use. Most people chase comfort. Wealth builders chase control. And here is the part that might surprise you the most. Building wealth from nothing is not about making a lot of money quickly. It is about doing a few simple things consistently for a long time. That means making smart decisions when you have very little, avoiding mistakes that keep most people stuck, and understanding a system that works whether you have $10 or 10,000. Because if you get this wrong at the beginning, no amount of money later will fix it. But if you get this right early, you can start from zero and still build something most people never achieve. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly how wealth is built from nothing. No hype, no unrealistic promises, just a clear path you can actually follow. Because once you understand this, you will stop seeing having nothing as a weakness and start seeing it as your greatest opportunity. Most people are stuck in a belief that quietly destroys their financial future. You need money to make money. It sounds logical. It feels true. And because of that, people accept it without questioning. So what do? They wait. They wait for a higher salary. They wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait until they feel ready. And while they are waiting, nothing changes. This belief creates a dangerous cycle, because if you think money is the starting point, you will never focus on what actually creates wealth. You will focus on income alone. You will think, if I can just earn more, everything will be fine. But here's the reality most people ignore. There are people earning very high incomes who are still broke. Doctors, engineers, corporate executives, they make more money than most, yet they have little to no real wealth. Why? Because income is not the problem. The problem is what happens after you earn. Most people increase their lifestyle as soon as their income increases. They upgrade their phone. They move to a more expensive apartment. They start spending to match their new identity, and suddenly, that higher income disappears. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it keeps people trapped no matter how much they earn. Now here is where it gets even more dangerous. People confuse looking rich with being rich. They think nice car equals success, expensive clothes equals wealth, luxury lifestyle equals financial freedom. But in reality, these are often signs of financial pressure, not financial strength. Because real wealth is not what you see. It is what you own. Another misunderstanding is believing that saving money alone will make you rich. Saving is important, yes, but saving without investing is like running on a treadmill. You are moving, but you're not going anywhere. Inflation slowly eats your money. Opportunities pass you by, and your financial position barely changes over time. So now you are stuck between two broken ideas: earn more and spend more, or save without growing. Neither builds wealth, and that is why so many people, even after years of hard work, feel like they are still at the beginning. The real problem is not lack of money. It is lack of strategy. Without a system, more money just creates bigger problems. But once you understand the right system, even a small amount can become something powerful, and that is exactly what we're going to break down next. Let's break this down in the simplest way possible. Building wealth from nothing is not complicated, but it does require you to follow a system that most people ignore. At its core, wealth building comes down to 3 simple steps. Step 1. Create income. If you are starting from zero, Your first goal is not investing. It is earning. You need cash flow. This can come from anything: a job, freelancing, a small online hustle, selling a skill. It does not matter how small it is in the beginning. What matters is this: you are creating money through your effort. But here is where most people go wrong. They focus only on earning, not on keeping. If you earn $500 and spend $500, you're still at zero. So the real rule is simple: earn more than you spend. That difference, no matter how small, is where your wealth begins. Step 2: turn income into assets. This is the most important step, and also the most ignored. Once you have extra money, you have two choices: spend it or invest it. Most people spend. They reward themselves with things that feel good in the moment: new gadgets, better clothes, a more expensive lifestyle. These things are called liabilities. They take money out of your pocket. Wealth builders think differently. They take that extra money and buy assets. Assets are things that generate income, increase in value over time. Examples include stocks, small businesses, digital products, skills that increase your earning power. Each asset you buy becomes a small machine that works for you. Instead of you working for money, your money starts working for you. Step 3: let compounding do the work. This is where things start to change. At first, your progress will feel slow, very slow, but over time, something powerful happens. Your money starts generating more money, and then that money generates even more. This is called compounding. Genuine math block widget: always prefetch v2 content equals p1 plus rt. You do not need to fully understand the formula, just understand the idea. The longer your money stays invested, the faster it grows. This is why time is more important than how much you start with. Someone who invests a small amount consistently for 10 years will often beat someone who invests a large amount for only 2 years. So if you put it all together, the system looks like this: earn money, save a portion, invest in assets, repeat consistently. It sounds simple, and it is. But simple does not mean easy, because this system requires discipline. It requires you to delay gratification. It requires you to think long-term in a world that rewards short-term pleasure. But if you follow this, even starting from nothing, you can build something most people never do. And next, let's look at a real example of someone who actually did it. Let's look at a real story that proves this works. Howard Schultz, the man who built Starbucks into a global empire, did not start with money. He was not born into wealth. He grew up in a poor neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. His father worked low-paying jobs with no stability, no insurance, no safety net. There were times when his family struggled just to get by. So from a young age, Schultz saw what financial insecurity looks like, and he made a decision. He did not want to live that life. Now here is where things get interesting. Schultz did not start by building Starbucks. He started by building himself. He focused on education. He worked hard. He developed skills. Eventually, he got a job at a small coffee company called Starbucks. At that time, it was just a local business. Nothing special, no global vision. But Schultz saw something others did not. During a trip to Italy, he noticed how coffee shops were not just places to buy drinks. They were experiences. Places where people gathered, talked, and connected. That idea changed everything. He came back and pitched a bold vision: turn Starbucks into more than a coffee shop. Turn it into a lifestyle brand. But here is the part most people overlook. He was rejected over and over again. Investors did not believe in the idea. He struggled to raise money. At one point, he was turned down by more than 200 investors. Now think about that. Most people quit after 5 rejections. He kept going after 200. Why? Because he was not chasing a salary. He was chasing ownership. Eventually, he raised the money, bought the company, and started expanding. Slowly at first, then faster, then globally. Today, Starbucks is one of the most recognized brands in the world, with thousands of stores across continents. But the lesson is not just about success. It is about the process. Schultz followed the exact system we talked about. He created income. He invested in opportunity. He built an asset, and he scaled it over time. He did not rely on luck. He did not wait for the perfect moment. He took small steps, made bold decisions, and stayed consistent, and that is what turned nothing into something massive. Because in the end, his biggest advantage was not money. It was the mindset he built when he had none. If there is one thing you take from this entire video, let it be this: wealth is not created by how much you earn. It is created by how you use what you earn. Most people think the goal is to make more money, but making more money alone does not solve the problem. because if your system is broken, more money just scales your mistakes. You spend more, you save less, you feel richer temporarily, but stay stuck long term. Real wealth starts when you shift your focus from income to structure. Let's simplify it. There are two types of people in the world. The first type works for money. They exchange time for income. If they stop working, the money stops too. The second type makes money work for them. They build systems that generate income even when they are not actively working. That difference is everything, and you do not need to be rich to start doing it. You just need discipline. With small amounts, because wealth is not built in big moments. It is built in small decisions repeated over time, choosing to save instead of spending impulsively, choosing to invest instead of consuming, choosing patience instead of quick rewards. These decisions look small in the moment, but over years, they completely change your life. Another important lesson is this: you do not need to wait until you are rich to start thinking like someone who is rich. In fact, that is the mistake most people make. They think wealth thinking comes after money, but it is actually the opposite. Wealth thinking is what creates money in the first place. That means thinking in terms of assets, not appearances. Thinking in terms of growth, not comfort. Thinking in terms of years, not days. And perhaps the most important shift is this: stop trying to get rich quickly, start trying to get stable permanently, because fast money disappears fast, but slow, disciplined wealth lasts. If you look at anyone who built real financial freedom, you will notice a pattern. They were not chasing trends. They were not looking for shortcuts. They were building something slowly that could survive time. That is the real game. And here is the final truth: starting from nothing is not your disadvantage. It is your filter. It removes distractions. It forces clarity. It pushes you to understand what actually matters. And if you use it correctly, it can become the strongest foundation for building wealth, not overnight, but permanently. So now you understand something most people never figure out in their entire lives. You do not need money to start building wealth. You need a system, you need discipline, and you need patience long enough for compounding to actually work. But here is the uncomfortable truth: knowing this is not enough. Most people already know more about money than they apply. They understand saving, they understand investing, they understand avoiding debt, yet nothing changes. Why? Because information alone does not build wealth. Execution does, and execution is where most people fail. They get inspired for a few days, they try to save a little, they try to invest once, they try to change their habits, then life happens, expenses come up, motivation drops, old habits return, and slowly, they go back to the same cycle: work, spend, repeat. That is why the real difference is not knowledge. It is consistency. And consistency is built by staying around the right ideas long enough for them to change how you think. Because money is not just numbers. It is behavior. It is psychology. It is decision making under pressure. And if you do not train your thinking, you will always fall back into old patterns. That is exactly why this channel exists. Not to give you motivation for a day, but to rewire how you think about money over time. Because once your thinking changes, your decisions change. And when your decisions change, your financial future changes. So if you are serious about building wealth from nothing, not in a fantasy way, but in a real, practical, long-term way, then you need to stay consistent with this kind of learning. Learn how money flows, learn how assets grow, learn how the wealthy actually build systems instead of just income, and, most importantly, learn how to avoid the traps that keep most people stuck for life. If that is the path you want to follow, then subscribe to The Geeky Investor, because here, we do not chase hype, we break down how money actually works in the real world, and we turn complex financial ideas into simple steps you can actually use. One video at a time, one decision at a time, one step closer to financial freedom. Subscribe to The Geeky Investor, and start building from where you are.